What's going on, guys? So I think one of the biggest challenges anxiety sufferers deal with, and there's a lot of challenges, but handling new anxiety symptoms. You know, I had anxiety disorders for 5 years before I finally recovered. And I used to go through these different patterns, these different cycles. And one thing that happened to me, I would have symptoms. I'd get used to having those symptoms. I'd accept that those symptoms were symptoms of anxiety. You know, after I got enough testing, or I just finally was like, okay, I would have died by now if this was heart disease or this form of cancer, right? And then right whenever I thought I was going to get out of it, I would experience another symptom. Now, this symptom could be caused by anxiety, which sometimes we're going to have lingering anxiety in our subconscious, regardless if we've consciously accepted that this is anxiety, or regardless if we're consciously trying to do the right things or work on ourselves or stick to a routine. You're eating better, you're exercising, you're being more mindful, you're being more gracious, you're doing exposure. Sometimes you can still get new anxiety symptoms that pop up. This could also be due to just lingering sensitivity, right? So you're gonna feel that new symptom even more. Or sometimes life just happens and you get sick, you get a cold, you get a stomach ache, right? And whenever this happens, we don't handle those moments well. And if you don't learn how to stop overreacting when you feel something new or feel something for the first time, this pattern will continue. You're gonna stay in this vicious cycle. We have this huge cycle, and then we have a bunch of mini cycles, right? A mini cycle is like you fearing blood clots for a few months. Another mini cycle is like you going through a period where you have heart anxiety or cardiophobia. Another one could be this form of cancer. And the problem is once we get out of a certain mini cycle and we have a week of where like, oh my God, like I'm glad I'm past that, we don't think about how we're gonna handle ourselves whenever we develop something new. And again, it could just be some lingering anxiety that you haven't fully resolved, and that's possible. It could just be that hangover of sensitivity that hasn't completely faded away, or it could just be life happening, right? And you're just dealing with a symptom of a cold or a stomach ache or something, right? Stuff happens all the time. So whenever you develop a new symptom caused by anxiety or just life happening, you have to have some rules. You have to have some core principles. I can't come up with those for you. I can give you some ideas. I can tell you what I did, but you're gonna have to come up with some rules for yourself. For me, it was like, okay, if I'm experiencing something new, I'm first gonna have this chat with myself. I've been here before. I thought I've had all these different diseases in the past. I have a history of anxiety, health anxiety, heart anxiety, cardiophobia, panic disorder, generalizing. I've got a history of catastrophizing and spiraling. I thought I had so many different things and diseases and illnesses and sicknesses. And I always turned out good. I always turned out healthy. It always turned out to be anxiety. So I have to take that into factor here, right? I'm not gonna jump on Google and Google this new symptom. It took me forever to make that a rule in my life. Some of you are making that mistake every time. You finally accept that you don't have a heart problem, then your stomach starts to hurt one day, you jump on Google. What diseases could be associated with that, right? And then since you haven't fully recovered from anxiety, you haven't fully gotten over your problem with catastrophizing and overreacting and spiraling and just general negative thinking, you're gonna believe whatever is at the top of that search. And then you're gonna go through this whole freaking thing again. So I had to give myself another rule. If I experience something new, I'm not gonna Google and try to play doctor, because I may not be at the point where I can handle seeing cancer or something at the top. There's a good chance I'm still gonna buy into that. My subconscious definitely will buy into that. And then it's gonna make it hard for me to focus on the symptom. And then the third one, putting a lot of negative energy, fear, and focus. Over time, guys, you have to learn to respond to your symptoms in a different way other than fear, negativity, annoyance, right? So it can be the challenging symptoms that I've talked about in the past. It could be responding with gratitude. It could be responding with self-love. It could be responding with internal reassurance, like what I was talking about earlier. I'm healthy, I'm fine, I'm young. I've gotten my blood work, I've gotten my, testing and everything. I've got a history with anxiety, I'm waking up every day, I can breathe, I could work out right now if I wanted. It's not gonna be a disease, you have to have that internal reassurance established whenever you develop new symptoms to keep you from going down that bad path, right? And then just constantly focusing on a certain area. So I'll give you an example. And I've talked about this before, but I just kind of want to tell you what I mean. After I got out of my heart anxiety phase, I was fine for a couple weeks. You know, I kind of took it for granted. I didn't keep working on myself. Now, I did change a few things. During this period of time, I was exercising a lot more. I'd cleaned up my diet. I'd cut back some bad habits, but that was about the extent, of, what I had done. I'd gained some awareness finally. I finally realized, like, fear was what was driving these symptoms. I was Googling less. Just things had gotten better. My panic attacks had gone down. So during this 2-week period, I wasn't, pushing it further. I wasn't working on my negative thinking or the root causes of my anxiety. So then I got stomach pain one day. And guess what? I was like, what's this about? Made the mistake, jumped on Google. And then the next thing I did, I started to focus on that area. I was looking for that symptom. And guess what? Whenever we look for that symptom, whenever we put a lot of negative energy, a lot of fear, a lot of focus on that, it magnifies and it gets worse. So every day I woke up, my stomach in that area hurt. And it was like that for the next 3 months. All right? So make sure that you're not putting in that negative fear and focus whenever you develop a new symptom. I had to come up with another rule. If this lasted, if I'm doing all the right things, I'm not trying to put a lot of fear and focus on it. I didn't Google. I'm working on my internal reassurance. I'm trying to respond to the symptom in a different way. And it's been a week or so, and it's there. And in fact, it's getting worse, even though I'm doing the right things. I'm going to make myself a doctor appointment. I'm just going to do it. I want to be safe. I don't want you guys to just totally ignore something that's just progressively getting worse. That's why this whole thing with health anxiety is gray. I want you to be safe, but at the same time, you're moving forward. But it can be difficult, right? Sometimes we think we're taking a risk by not making an appointment. You have to figure out, how many days you're going to let something go before you get checked out or to schedule an appointment, right? And that part I can't tell you. For me, I gave myself like a week, sometimes 2 weeks. And if it was just going to continuously get worse, then I would eventually make an appointment. But by the time I got to that point, these things weren't lasting that long. An example of that was after I finally recovered from my health anxiety, my panic and everything. I'd been removed from that for a few years. I had a hardened lymph node back here, kind of like a calcified lymph node behind my ear, and I noticed it one day. So I didn't Google, I didn't jump to conclusions. I handled everything perfectly. I passed that test. Even though I was far removed, I could have easily slipped back into my health anxiety, but I didn't. And I let it go for a couple weeks. I did some cold and heat compresses, I kind of let it go. I was like, well, maybe there's like a little bit of an infection. I had a tooth up here that was bothering me. I was like, maybe that has something to do with it, or, maybe it kind of hardened up a little bit whenever I had a cold and I just hadn't noticed it. So I let it go for a couple weeks, but nothing really changed. So then guess what? I made an appointment. I wanted to be safe, right? So I handled that situation perfectly. I made like a 3-part video series on that. Just look up Trey Jones, lymph node. Just look that up and you'll see the videos that I made on that. I kind of took you through the process and how I handled that after I was already removed from health anxiety. So again, we got to handle, the new symptoms whenever they pop up, because guys, that just happens. It just happens. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. Try to apply what I teach you guys and tell you in these videos. Don't just watch them for comfort. So just try to apply what you learned from me today. Got to respond in a different way. We got to change that response. We have to learn from our past mistakes. Googling has never worked for you, so stop doing it. Negative focus and fear on a symptom only magnifies the problem. We got to do something different. We got to change the response. Jumping to conclusions or hurrying up and rushing to the ER the minute you feel something. We got to make those changes. We got to show the subconscious that we're different whenever new symptoms pop up. But I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I'm going to put my course, Elite Anxiety Bootcamp, down below in the description and in the first pinned comment. It's helping so many people, so if you haven't been able to grab that, please do it. It lays everything out for you step by step, from the foundation, the mindset, the perspective change that you need, to the routine, to the tools. There's a lot of bonus materials and documents and downloads that can help you along the way. Check that course out. Very, very affordable. I'm going to put that down below in the description and in the first pinned comment. My coaching info, if you want to do one-on-one calls, I can send you my coaching info, so just reach out to me via that email and I'll send it over to you. There's therapy down below, okay? Online therapy, right? If you've never tried therapy, give it a shot. It makes it easy. You can do it on the phone, the laptop, the PC. You don't have to go anywhere. You can do it just like this, right? Talk to somebody face-to-face. They got texting options. They have just call options. Just go check out that link. I'll put that down below as well. other resources there. But I love you guys. And until next time, keep fighting.